What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. Manchester United 2, Brighton 0. Manchester United finally win a game at Old Trafford after going 1-0 up. Now, it wasn't particularly great to watch, attractive, but we got there in the end. I have a very special guest as well joining me on tonight's full-time view as well. Joining myself is former WWE star Killian Dane, a man of my own heart, professional wrestling. You know I have the pro wrestling influence on the channel as well. As Big Damo, or just to me, just Damo. Damo, how are you doing? Thanks for joining me this evening.
Well, it's a lot better now that we actually put that game away. Even against 10 men, we were struggling, but it's been a really crazy few weeks. Well, it's been a really crazy few years, really. Every manager comes in, there's always the same problems. So, no, thankfully today we managed to put the game away. But my God, the amount of times we missed open goals, big chances, and you're just thinking it's not going to be 1-1 again, not against 10 men. Oh my God!
Yeah,
but we did it. It's okay. We did it, and we scored more than one goal.
Exactly. Let's get into it. So it was a really strange one today because the last couple of weeks we've been accused of being first half FC, right? Really nice first half playing, not scoring the goals we should. And then second half comes, we drop off considerably. Now, I don't necessarily know if it was even the other way around today, but first half, we were just diabolical. We were absolutely shocking. What did you make of the first half?
So I think we tried not to go into the heavy press, or at least not the full press. Almost like we wanted to see what was happening. But pretty much if any team gets the kick off against us and they fire the ball down towards us, we then sit for the first 5 to 10 minutes panicking at the back. So if that doesn't happen, then we pretty much play pretty well for the first 10, 20 minutes. And then what's happened in the last few games, it's been up to 30 minutes or 45 minutes. Today, as soon as you press us back at all, we were making all these mistakes. I took all these notes in the game, right? And I gave up at 20 minutes because I was like, literally, if I wasn't already bald, I'd be pulling my hair out, But honestly, so I think one of the main problems we have is, like, I'm still unsure what our organization is meant to be. Bruno was all over the place and his passing was horrendous. Fred, I know he's just back from COVID, but he was awful, especially in that first half, just his passing. And I'm not a Fred hater at all. I'm not a Scott McTominay hater at all. Could there be better choices out there? Absolutely. But, I respect that they put so much effort and graft into the games. However, on the ball, neither man can pass. Like, Scotty tried a couple of these like cross-field balls that just went to nobody. And then Fred can't do the basic pass. And you're just like, this is a recipe for disaster. In that first half, thankfully, Brighton couldn't really get too tight to us. They had one big opportunity, and when Motor just literally had a free header for some reason. Like, everybody just ignored the giant in the box and just let the ball happen. They just let it happen. But like, honestly, like, for us, surviving that first half was huge, and then obviously getting past the 47th, 48th minute was a big deal for us, that we didn't concede in that right after half time.
I was thinking the same thing. Oh my goodness. But yeah, it was a really curious one because, again, I was thinking, we're going to see the same of what we've seen the last few games. We're going to start really well. We didn't. And like you said, at points in that first half, we're hanging on. The surprising one to me was that a real shining light in the last couple of games has been Paul Pogba since he's come back into the side. He's had that midfield free of Bruno, Pogba, McTominay. What did you think about Pogba not starting today? I found that one quite shocking, to be honest.
I think, honestly, one of the main problems with Pogba is his discipline in the middle. If he has the freedom, sure, he's going to be fantastic, like he is for France and for whatever else, because he's sitting next to Kante or Tchouaméni. But when he's playing for us, and I genuinely, I'm fully aware he's our best player, right? Let's put all cards on the table. He's probably our most talented player, but at the same time, he is a square peg in a round hole, because we want him to play as a double pivot, but we don't have anybody who's the perfect person to put beside him. I thought they should have binned Bruno today and had Paul as the free rein, because in my opinion, he was excellent this last couple of games.
Yeah,
he looked a lot better on the ball. He's more assured, he's stronger. Bruno's been off the boil, sadly, for a little while. Like, yes, he got a couple of goals the other day, whatever, but he's generally been pretty poor. And I don't know if he always links up brilliant with Cristiano. Today, don't get me wrong, he had a couple of great crosses in for Cristiano, but I thought Pogba would have been like a shoe-in. But I understand they want the energy that Fred and McTominay bring and the discipline. But the truth is, sometimes together, there's absolutely zero discipline with those two. And like, Scott McTominay's slightly off it. He's just been off it this last 2 games, and that's fine. But Fred coming off, being sick, there was definitely, like, you can tell he's not been training. He looked just couldn't get a pass at all. So I was really surprised that he didn't have Pogba on, but he brought him on. It was the right decision. I'm so glad people didn't boo Fred, because yes, he was very poor today, but his energy was great. Like, he gives everything he can. But bringing Pogba in, he's a lot more assured on the ball, and he can make things happen. It's going to be massive. If we lose him at the end of the year, you're going to have to replace him. You cannot go into another year with just Fred and McTominay as your midfield. I like both guys. As I said to you, I love their industry. I love how hard they work, but neither can pass, neither can create. Fred got a couple of assists at the very start of Ragnick's kind of run here.
It was strange.
Which has been awesome, but he can't do the basic 10-yarder. You know what I mean? He can't go across field. So, what are you going to do when Pogba goes? If he goes, and if he does stay, then you're going to have to pay him this insane amount of money and have to continually deal with Mino Raiola. So there's going to be a very awkward summer when it comes to the manager. It's going to be very awkward. How are we going to replace a guy like that? But looking at today's game, when he came on, I was so much happier, like, because when he's on the ball, you just feel confident. Like, they started backing away from him. When Fred's on the ball, they go directly towards him, which makes sense because he's not as confident in possession. But when Pogba's on the ball, they actually start backing off him, and that just gives us so much range to actually get moving. And it's so important. Like, my main problem today was I thought Rashford was very poor, and like Marcus Rashford's I'm desperate for him to be a worldie because, like, I love him outside of this, and I love what he stands for. Yeah. But he's been so awful lately. So him coming off the bench and adding nothing was awful. But thankfully, like with Paul's composure today, that kind of helped a lot. But it was crazy. We're up against 10 men, and we're still panicking that they're going to score. Like, what world am I in?
Exactly. I mean, so after a really poor first half, and I was calling flex in that at half time, and there was even a bit of booze. There was a bit of booze coming out the stadium, which was interesting because especially Old Trafford faithful, that's not really tend to what they do, but I think they've just seen enough at that point. But second half, we started off a little bit brighter, and Cristiano Ronaldo, after he's been a lightning rod recently. He's been an absolute lightning rod, and he rolled back the years. I have a theory that he heard that Messi had just missed a penalty, and his spidey senses sort of lifted, and he went, "What? Missed a penalty?" That's inside. Exactly. He's a soothsayer. There you go.
Honestly, like, that's the first time Ronaldo's created his own goal in I don't know how long. Yeah, and that's been what's very difficult. A friend of mine, like, so I'm in this wrestlers group chat for all United fans. It's hilarious. One of the lads was saying, when was the last time Ronaldo created his own goal? Like, took a ball, drove on and shot. Finally, he did it today, created his own goal, because today he missed 2 open goals.
I know, exactly.
Which blew my mind. Like, the last person you expect to miss a header from point blank range is Cristiano Ronaldo, but he actually made his own goal, scored a belter. And what blew my mind more than anything is when these guys have balls on a plate, they don't score, but they make the difficult one. Like, he had like multiple people in front of him, and this was an incredible world-class goal. Considering how good form Sanchez has been in goals, he was great today against us. Sadly, it always seems to happen. We make everybody look like prime Buffon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I thought it was great that Ronaldo finally took a drive and shot on his own. He wasn't waiting. He wasn't miserable. He went and did it himself, and we needed it at the time.
He rolled back the years, certainly. And where do you kind of sit on this whole Ronaldo discussion recently? Because, again, we've been talking about it here on the channel, and he's been a bit of a lightning rod on social media in the sense that, I mean, people have been criticizing his performances, and I think fairly so. He's not been playing very well. Obviously, his job in the team at the moment has been to score goals. But some people say that, if there's anyone that deserves a bit of leniency, it's Ronaldo. And we don't really have many options up front at the moment. Where do you kind of sit on that recently?
Well, the truth is, if you've got Cristiano Ronaldo in your team, the other 10 guys, or at least the other 9 outfielders, should be working double hard, because you know that guy's going to score you the goals that you need to become a winning team. But that doesn't happen. What happens is we press at different times, and we end up leaving these massive gaps in the middle of the pitch. That was happening all game today. Even when they went down to 10 men, there was these massive gaps in the middle of the park. So nobody's, people like to say, oh, Ronaldo's the issue. You could put Haaland in there right now, and I don't think it'd be much different, because if you, don't get me wrong, Ronaldo's missed some big chances this last 3 games, right? But outside of that, for the rest of the season, it doesn't matter. If you're not getting the ball anywhere near him, he's not going to score. It doesn't matter who's in there. So that, like, that's watching him today, I thought he looked pretty keen. He was pressing in the second half, especially. You could tell he was really putting a bit of effort in. He actually tracked back a bunch of times in the second half, especially in the last 10 minutes, which was actually blew my mind because I'm not expecting that from him. But what we need is, if we are playing a Cristiano Ronaldo, we need Sancho, Rashford, or whoever else is playing in the wings. If it's Alanga, who wasn't as great today, but he showed so much energy, especially for that red card decision.
Yeah.
He put that effort in because he pressed, but he didn't really press the entire first half. But if they are playing, then they need to work double speed, because they need to be able to give Ronaldo the freedom to actually be there for the goals, because we are actually creating chances now. There was a period where we weren't creating any chances. Like, there must have been a good month, maybe in October, where it just was not happening at all.
Yeah.
But this last 4 games, we created 75 chances in the 3 games prior to this game, right? We created like 15 today or whatever it was, right? So last year, 90 chances over 4 games, right? So yes, in these 4 games, maybe Ronaldo could have done a lot better. But prior to that, we weren't giving him any service. And then you're trying to say that he's the issue. I definitely wasn't agreeing with it 5 games ago. Nowadays, I don't know. There's an element to it where I'm like, okay, if you are going to have Ronaldo in the pitch, then everybody else needs to know what they're doing. What is their role? Like, what was Rashford's role today when he came off the bench? Like, this is one of my main problems, is with Greenwood gone, we've got nobody who's a natural right-sided player. Rashford, great on the left. Elanga, the entire time in the youth, played on the left or played right through the middle. I never really saw him on the right in the under-23s. You know what I mean? So then you've got nobody who's natural on the right-hand side. And that is a worry. Whatever happens with Greenwood's personal life, I don't know, but that is a massive gap that is glaring. I thought Sancho was bought to be that right-sider. But then Ralph says in an interview, no, his best is the left. And I'm like, so we've got nobody who can play comfortably on the right-hand side of the pitch, because Wan-Bissaka can't do it either. So, there just seems to be this massive dearth on the right-hand side. But me personally, like, I want to give Ronaldo the benefit of the doubt, though, because, listen, there was a period where we weren't servicing him. I'm hoping that today's, amazing goal that he scored today, completely by himself. Yes, Scott McTominay made the tackle, but, Ronnie made that himself. It was definitely not in the plate. I'm hoping that G's him on to go and score a bunch. But the only part for me is he missed 2 pretty blatant headers, which is his meat and drink normally.
Exactly. A couple of super chats here. Akil says, one thing that really frustrates me is Shaw never stops crosses. He always backs off and invites a cross. Red Baron says, more XG than City in their 5-0 win tonight. Finishing is terrible. That's a good
Said he don't have a striker.
Very good point.
It's interesting you said that. Interesting you said that about Shaw, right? He, for some reason, goes into this period where he marks Maguire as opposed to actually going out to the cross. And this happens quite a lot. And then there's a lot of free space for a cross to happen. I can see why he is, like, they want Tellez to maybe be, starting ahead of Shaw, but obviously he had problems with COVID and whatever else. Because as good as Shaw can be, we are not seeing that right now. Ever since the Euros, himself and Maguire are playing like strangers. And it's gotten to see, because last season Maguire was in the team of the year, and it was arguable that so was Luke Shaw. This season, like, if you told me that those 2 lads were playing for Brighton and Cucurella was playing for us, I'd believe you. You know what I mean? Because it almost felt like that's what it should be. Because Shaw was just all over the place. When he's got the talent and the ability to be much more than that, it's bizarre to see him so bad.
The VAR with the red card. Now, VAR referees, I sound like Sir Alex. I sound like a broken record when it comes to referees this season. But the standard of officiating in the Premier League, I think, is shambolic. I mean, for me, you see it in real time and you go straight away, go red card. Like, for me, I saw red card and he gave the yellow card. I think that sometimes referees, they see the other defender hit the ball and they go, okay, the attacking player was never going to get there. It's like, well, the attacking player's on the floor. That's why he was never going to get there. It was a foul. How do you feel about, first of all, that red card, which for me, again, Stonewaller, but what's your feelings overall when it comes to officiating this season? Because for me, I don't understand. I understand we want to keep it in-house, but I don't understand why we're obsessed with the best in class of coaches, players. What's the difference when it comes to referees? Why can't we get referees from abroad?
Honestly, I think it's bizarre that we have such a low standard of refereeing right now. My uncle was a pro referee in Northern Ireland, and he was terrible, right? So he probably could have got a job here. But honestly, like, for me, watching, like, the referee standard. They automatically know it's going to go to VAR, so they refuse to make the decisions. And that's what the problem is. I mean, it's Stonewall. You can see the boys being dragged down. Get your card. Just get your card out. Like, why did he even think yellow? What was in his mind? Because there's this massive gap between the two centre backs. Watson is a mile away. So are you that unsure of your ability? If you're that unsure of your ability, you shouldn't be a referee at this standard, at this level. It blew my mind, actually, that it took 5 minutes to get a decision on this. Like, what was it? And then even better, the VAR didn't want to make the decision. They said, no, please, you go and check yourself. So the VAR isn't even making the decision. It says, no, actually, we've watched it for 4 minutes. Can you come and check the monitor? I'm like, who? Are they watching a different game? Were they all watching the PSG Real game or something? Because they just weren't paying attention to this at all. But no, it was very bizarre for me that it took so long. But this is indicative to this entire season. And it's happened to us a few times with the handballs and stuff like that. There has been some really dubious decisions. And you get two different types of referee. You get the referee who's like, I'm in charge. I don't want VAR to overrule me. And then you get the rookie referee who's like, oh, let's please hope VAR gives me the right decision. And it seems to me there's no in between. There's nobody who's killing it at both ends. And that's what's been really weird, especially this last couple of months, because they had that slight change in a couple of the rules, that everybody's like kind of like, I don't really know what's happening. And that seems to be the case today. How was that? Like, why did it need to go to VAR? Why did it need to?
No, exactly.
I don't understand.
Exactly.
But I mean, then,
I don't know what's
a friend of mine was saying about
concerning. Carry on.
Well, sorry. A friend of mine was saying even about what should have went to VAR was when Bissouma kind of sticks his hand out into Bruno's face. I don't know if you remember last year when Anthony Martial got sent off against Spurs, for something kind of similar, actually probably a lot less dangerous. And then that didn't even go to VAR; it just went straight ahead. And I'm just so like, what is VAR for? It seems to be right now, VAR is just there to give the referee like a normal decision, which that red card should have been. I can't believe it took so long.
Exactly. And like I said, for me, I think the standard of officiating is so low. And I don't know what's more concerning. Like you said, the fact that sometimes they go, well, I won't do the big decision because VAR will bail me out. Or the case of when they do go to VAR and they still get it wrong. And it's like, well, you've got two shots at it there and you've both got it wrong. I don't understand it. I really don't. But see, even though they were down to 10 men, and this is what was crazy about this game, is for the majority of the second half after that, you'd have never known. If you walked into that game, and I don't know where the red card would. I think it was like 55 minutes, something like that. If you walked into that game and just didn't see the little red thing above the Brighton name on the screen, you'd go, well, it's 11 versus 11. Like there's no difference. So is it a case of we've got a bit of luck there? Because, I mean, if there's 11 versus 11, is it a bit of a different game?
Honestly, like, for us, it didn't matter that they were down to 10 men because we were still panicking and still so open. Like, we seem to go in this weird position where, okay, if somebody presses, our defense aren't coming forward, they're actually staying back. And I'm like, so they don't understand how a press works. That definitely seems to be the case with Maguire. He's so unsure because he knows he's going to get beaten for pace if a ball goes over the top. So he stays just a touch too far back when we press. So that means that there's this wide open gap in the center of midfield. And how that continued to happen when they went down to 10 men. They didn't change anybody in midfield at all. They changed the structure. They brought on Lamptey and they brought on, who was the other fellow they brought on? They made the two changes anyway. And still they were just walking through the midfield. And I'm thinking to myself, right, Bissouma is a decent midfielder. Like I think he's probably got a good future ahead of him. But at the same time, like he is embarrassing these lads. Like before we brought Pogba on, it was, if you, as you said, I would have believed it was either 11-11 or that United were down to 10.
Exactly, yeah. And I mean, they hit the crossbar. Even though they're saying that's a shot. I don't know. I don't know about that. I felt like it was a bit of a cross, but I mean, do you think that maybe they deserved more in that one? I mean, because this is what's crazy, and this is what's madness about football, is you look at the previous games, so Middlesbrough, Burnley, Southampton, you come out of those games going, yeah, we didn't play well in second halves, but maybe we edged enough to deserve to win. There's an argument to be made today that we probably maybe didn't deserve to win. We didn't play particularly well, obviously first half, second half, first 15, but afterwards we drop off because you can tell already the wheels are spinning in their minds. They're thinking, here we go again, 1-0 missing chances. So, I mean, I guess, Ralph, it's just a take it and run, but is it something to build on, do you think? I was a bit frozen. Damo's frozen. Oh dear. See if we'll take him back out and come back in. Not sure what's happened there. This sums up today. Damo's frozen. Oh dear. I'm sure I'll come back in a second. But we can carry on talking. Let me zoom in my camera a little bit. I tell you what, guys, this has just been one of the things today. Is one of the things today. David Lee says frozen. Hello, wow. Yeah, it happens, guys. It happens, guys. But I do want to talk about is the again, maybe them deserving more. Obviously, oh, he's back. He's back. I'll get Damo back in. There he goes, back. It's live. We're live.
Sorry, internet just decided, nope, had enough of you, Damo. Okay, thanks very much.
Exactly. He heard the discussion about Rashford and all that. Went, no, disagree. No, I was saying that. Did they? Do you think they deserved more coming out of that one? And how can we build on this one, considering that whilst we didn't play the best, look, we just got the win.
Honestly, that first half, if they'd have went 2 up, it would have been deserved. Especially that shot, De Gea got us out of it. You know what I mean? He was fantastic with that beautiful save from a free header in the box. So if they'd have went 2 up, the only thing is they didn't really get many shots away in the first half. You know what I mean? So that was the only thing where I'd say maybe they didn't necessarily deserve it. But over the course of the game, like we came into it so much more after the red card. Maybe we did deserve it, edge it at least. But if it had been a draw, you'd have been, well, we didn't play well again. So
Exactly. And then last couple of minutes, obviously, Bruno gets the goal. I mean, what do you think of Bruno Fernandes today? Because we were having a discussion the other day, and the analogy that I've seen on social media, which I think is so spot on, is Bruno Fernandes is a player that plays like he's consistently in the 95th minute. Everything is completely rushed. Everything is completely get the ball out of your feet as soon as possible. Try things that aren't necessarily on. He gets his goal today. I mean, he has his moments, but what did you think of him overall?
Well, he missed an open goal. Another game, second time in 3 games he missed an open net.
Of course,
so,
yeah.
So, me personally, with Bruno, I think like when he's on the ball and he brings himself so deep, he comes almost he's behind Shaw at times, and you're trying to figure out why he's picking the ball up there. Then he goes for this hopeless. He was in right back in the first half. He was in right back, and he hit this hopeless ball across the pitch, and then they almost came on and scored off the back of it. I'm like, what is his decision process?
I saw that. It was just bizarre.
What's he thinking?
Yeah.
One of the things that frustrates me the most is like his left foot is hit or miss. So sometimes when he opens himself up, he puts it onto his left foot and whips a ball, and it never pays off. And like I get frustrated because like I think a professional footballer should be good enough with both feet that they should be able to weigh a decent ball on their weaker foot. And like Bruno, very poor with it, and that happened a couple of times in the first half as well, when he does get on the ball and he's got a chance and nothing comes of it, Honestly, I just wish, I think he feels he has to carry the team on his back, and if he doesn't do it, nothing's going to happen. But then, as you say, it does look desperate, especially when he does it in the first 10 minutes, and it's a 5 yards in front of the player he's trying to get it to, or even worse, it goes to the opposite team without close to a red shirt. You just really wonder what his thought process is. And like I think like he's been G'd up by the media who'll say, oh, it's okay because he's the risk taker and blah blah blah. Yeah, that's fine, but not if there's nobody behind you to cover your mistake. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it just seems so bizarre his choices.
Sensitive, isn't it? Yeah,
absolutely. Like sometimes he makes these crazy decisions, but I can't take away how good he's been for us for this last 2 years. He's been incredible for us. But there are times where I think maybe we should drop Bruno. You know what I mean? But then the problem is you draw Bruno, who's going to create anything? The only person could be Pogba, and because nobody else in midfield can pass,
Exactly. Super chat from Ray Diaz says, last 3 games, we've longed for the ball hitting the net. We got it this time. 3 points. That's a good thing. Not just good or bad luck. 3 points deserved. So there you go. Harry Maguire started at the back today, as everyone knew he was going to. Everyone knew he was going to. It wasn't the case of people thought that, Harry Maguire was going to be dropped or anything like that. Ralph Frantic had some comments last night, Damo, that I thought were fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. He was asked about Maguire, and essentially he said, he's developing like everyone else. It's just a case of he's used to playing in a back 3 like he is with England, and we play in a pressing back 4. Now, I don't know about you. I really like
developing. He's fucking 28 years old. What's he going to develop? Exactly. He's going to develop a hump on his back. That's the only thing he's going to develop. Don't know what he's talking about developing. Jesus Christ. Honestly, this whole back 3 thing, But he was a back three in Leicester. I understand that he was playing a back three with Leicester.
Sometimes that.
This whole thing about playing for England, England were playing with a back four over the Euros. What's he talking about?
Exactly. I saw that, and I looked at that and went, well, pretty much everywhere else he's been in a back four, and I don't get that. We can get into the Maguire thing of it being almost a political thing. He's the captain. He's 80 million, all this kind of stuff. But I don't get it. I really don't get it. Varane didn't play today because he pulled out with illness. So it was Lindelof coming in. But I mean,
I will say one thing though about Maguire. I will say he marshaled better today. His only problem is when he goes for those crazy, like he decides to come out of position and goes forward and misses a tackle or misses a header, whatever else. That's the only time where you're like, oh Christ, he's at it again. He only did it once in the game. I thought he was pretty good otherwise. I don't know if it's when he's next to Lindelof, he feels that he has to step up. I'm not really sure. But against, when you're standing next to Varane, I don't know how you could be a bad defender. Especially the season Maguire had last year. Maguire was incredible. He was in Team of the Year pretty much. People were talking about it.
He struggled.
It blows my mind that you put a better partner next to him and he plays worse. You know what I mean? So, but I understand that Rannick's trying to G him up, trying to gas him up a bit. You know what I mean? Say, listen, he's good, whatever. Trying to almost like let him hide a little bit, which in my opinion is the problem, especially with nowadays. Giving people the excuses to hide is the issue. We need to tell these people, okay, you need to give it your all 100% every game. And if you make mistakes as an honest pro, that's fine. But you can't hide behind it. You can't do your social media apologies. That stuff is a load of bollocks, and that needs to end. Because Man United is letting that happen way too often.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess we've got a couple of minutes left here. So obviously, look, we had to win today because we've dropped so many points recently. It's sad to say that top four, fourth, is what we're aiming for this season. Even Ranić in his press conference the other day just wrote off the Champions League. He went, we're playing for fourth. And then he had to sort of backtrack and went, well, Champions League is going to be tough.
Honestly, happen. The thing about the Champions League is maybe it'll suit us because it's going to be a slightly slower game. I don't know. Atletico aren't in great form. If we get by Atletico, you never know. It is a crapshoot.
Exactly, and it's Ronaldo against Atletico, right? That's what he does. He loves
get some good gesticulations from
Ronaldo. Exactly. But yeah, just to wrap it up overall, I mean, look, we had to win to even still be in that top four race. We're currently fourth, even though obviously Arsenal and Spurs have plenty of games in hand. Gut feeling, if you can trust it. How do you feel about it? Do you think we're going to get it? How is it going to be close? It's a tough one to call.
There's no reason why we shouldn't. We had to bring in a new manager in with no preseason. That is the real difficulty, is changing managers mid-year. So I do get that. We're not all going to be as lucky as Chelsea were last year with Tuchel. The more they believe in Rannick, the more chances we're going to have. We're creating more chances now than we have for months, maybe years. Like that is, for as negative as I might be about certain things that happen, we are creating chances now. We weren't creating chances. Now we are. Are there times we're letting the other teams in too much? Absolutely, of course. But the statistics back it up. We've made 90 chances in the last 4 games. That is an insane amount. If that continues, there's no reason why we can't get fourth. There's no reason why we can't get a good run in the Champions League. It's been difficult. It's been an awkward season. But we've got Cristiano Ronaldo as our main striker. We've got Rafa Varane as our number one defender. It's like, things could be a lot worse. Yes, I get it. The midfield isn't perfect. We're not sure what's happening with Pogba. Bruno's in and out of form. Rashford's head is somewhere else. I don't know. We're unlucky with the Greenwood thing. That's something that missing that player on the right-hand side is going to be massive for us. We've let Donny and Martial go, so we are a little bit thin. But it gives an opportunity for the likes of Elanga, Hannibal Mabry to maybe step up, and there's a chance maybe like a Charlie McNeil or whatever else from the youth ranks might get a shot. Who knows? Like anything can happen. Weirder things have happened. And for me personally, against Spurs, against Arsenal, against West Ham, we are the favourites. We are absolutely the favourites for fourth place. I think we should be trying to hunt down Chelsea personally.
I like I said, my feeling is that and this is my prediction. I don't really even do predictions, but my feeling is that we would get fourth because I just think we've got too much quality. If you compare the squads if we're going up against West Ham, Arsenal, Spurs, we've probably got just enough quality that will get us over the line like tonight. Maybe we don't play necessarily the best, but when you've got players like that in your side, your Ronaldos, your Brunos, they tend to just about squeeze you over the line, I think. But anyway, look, we'll wrap it up there. David, thank you very much for joining me this evening. Where can everyone catch you on social media?
Absolutely pleasure for having me. I've watched the channel a few times and enjoyed the rants. So
yes.
everybody can follow me at Damo Mackle, all one word, at Damo Mackle, Twitter, Instagram, pretty much everything at Damo Mackle. Thank you so much for having me. I had a lot of fun. It's good to vent, and hopefully this is the start of a good run.
Yes, fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Anyway, guys, look, be sure to smash a like on the video. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Flex, of course, was at Old Trafford today, so he's been speaking to all of the fans outside of the grounds, and you'll get his view coming up very shortly. We're out of here. Peace.